It's time to address a huge question that I get. People often ask me, are people moving in Portland? Are they all leaving? Are they gone? What's going on over there? Well, yes, people in Portland are moving. It's true. People do move. It happens probably every single day, right? But the real question is, where are the people in Portland going? Isn't that the real question? Now, you hear stories about states like California where they've had net migration out of the state, right? There's a recent report that came out that said something like about 500,000 people had moved out of California. That's pretty significant. But of course, that's an entire state. And in this video, I'm not going to talk about the entire state of Oregon, but I'm going to talk about the huge question that I get, which is Portland done? Are people moving? Are the businesses leaving? What's going on? Well, first, I'm going to touch on my own friends and what I think we would call anecdotal evidence, meaning what I hear in my own experience. And then we'll talk about some statistics. And that should answer this question that you have probably been pondering like so many people have. People must be thinking about it because they keep asking me that question, which I find kind of hilarious. And I'm about to tell you why. So you know it's going to be another exciting, exhilarating video all about Portland and the Vancouver metro area, the whole metro area. So you know what to do if you're watching my channel. You better get ready and you better sit down, buckle up, and get ready because here we go. Hey everybody, it's your host here, Dave Baker, with the Living in Washington and Living in Oregon team. Now, this is a big question and I had to make a video about this. So I had to jump into the booth here and start talking about this topic because it's something that people had brought up to me. Now, obviously, the migration map of where people are moving in the United States is ever changing, you could say. But with what's been going on for the past few years and the shift from cities and rural neighborhoods and all the different things that are going on and places people are fleeing, I understand why people ask this. And of course, Portland, Oregon has been in the news for the things that, that went on there during 2020 through 2021, and then some of the changes that have come in 2022. So I want to talk about this because people ask me, Dave, are they still there? Are there people in Portland? Where are they moving? Are they moving? Well, yeah, people are moving. And I want to start by telling you what my friends are doing. Now, before I get started, of course, the most important thing is that you're going to tap that little subscribe button and click that little bell so you'll be notified every time I put out a new video. This is the place to go to learn about living in Portland, Oregon, and living in Vancouver, Washington. So if you're thinking of moving to either place, you're going to want to stick to this channel. Additionally, if you are thinking about making the move, you've got to reach out to us, okay? So reach out to us. It's super easy, okay? You can contact the team by sending us an email. Wait, those are my thumbs. That's my text message thing. Sending us a text message, sending us an email, or of course, you can give us a call on the phone. So we want to make it as easy as possible for you to move to anywhere in Oregon or in Washington. Actually, it is not just limited to the Portland metro area, even though that's where we have our passion. And I know a lot of people out there looking at other cities like Bend and Medford and Roseburg. There's so many cities, Clackamas, etc. Or on the north, you've got so many options up there in Washington as well. So you know what to do. You reach out to us, okay? All right. Okay, one more thing real quick. I just want to mention I do have my Living in the Northwest newsletter now available. You can go to gotnorthwest.com, and that is where you can subscribe to the newsletter. I've got my own passion for being in the Northwest. I've got my Northwest gear on. You can't tell from the camera today, but I've got my usual collection of Northwest gear from a lot of Northwest-based apparel companies. There are an incredible amount of apparel companies in the Portland region, if you did not know that. So it's something that I did not know before I came up to the area, up to the 503 or the 360, depending on where you're living. Okay, so first I want to talk to you about what I think is generally called anecdotal evidence, my own experience. What do people tell me when they're moving? It all started in the middle of 2020 or late 2020 when a few of my friends, I noticed their places came on the market. And they were telling me, oh, hey, I'm moving. And I was shocked. Like, you're moving? You're moving from the Pearl District? Like, where are you going? You're moving from the downtown region? Where are you going? Are you going across the country? I knew one guy had told me he had previously lived in the state of Tennessee, so I thought maybe he was moving there. So the first person who was moving, he told me, oh, I'm moving to Vancouver. I said, okay. And he had talked about getting a moving truck. And I thought to myself, maybe he's moving to Vancouver, Canada, like British Columbia? Is that where he's going? He needs a moving truck? How much has he got? How far is he going? Nope. He was moving to the Vancouver waterfront. Okay, this is understandable for several reasons. One, because the Vancouver waterfront is incredibly beautiful. Number two, the main reason I think he was moving was to change his tax situation. He was doing something with business where he would be making money in the future, and he wanted to move to a state with no income tax. How convenient. It was like 8 or 10 miles away. Amazing, right? So as a quick reminder, I'm sure you know this, but Oregon has no sales tax, and Washington has no state income tax for personal taxes. So that's the first person. He was moving to Vancouver. What a change. And you want to know the funny part? He would tell me that he would go back down to the Pearl District, which is the kind of the condo area or the really nice part outside of the downtown that you can walk to in Portland. And he would go back there and hang out in the parks and go to the gym there and eat at the restaurants over on 23rd Street in the Alphabet District, or 21st Street where you've got a lot of food, or Slabtown, which is like booming, by the way. Lots of restaurants, lots of things popping up in Slabtown. Really cool neighborhood if you haven't been over there. Kind of down on the bottom of 21st Street. And I was thinking to myself, so you moved, but you still come here to eat. You still go there to hang out. I thought it was hilarious. It was just a few miles away. It's not like they don't have a lot of restaurants in Vancouver now, too. You've got quite a few good options. But he adapted. Next, there was a younger couple, around 35. They had a really nice condo in the Pearl, and they said, hey, we're moving. And I thought, where are you going? And this all happened kind of around the same time. They said, oh, yeah, we're going to get out of here. We just want to do something different in life. Like, well, I asked where they're going. Where do you think they were going? They were going to the West Hills, still in Portland. I said, oh, so you're moving like 2 or 3 miles away. They said, yeah, it's going to be a big change. You know, we won't be able to walk to the same places. Mind-boggling, right? What a move. But to them, it was a big move. And they wanted to switch from a condo situation to a more traditional home. And that's not an unreasonable change. It seems logical. So of all the people I know that have moved, oh, there's another guy. He lived by PSU, that's Portland State University. So that would be, it's attached to downtown, and it would be further south and southwest. When you look at the street names, you see SW, right? So like southwest. By the way, there's a nice collection of food carts up there if you are touring the city and you want to check out some cool local places to eat. He said, I'm leaving the area. I'm not going to live by PSU anymore. And he was going to an office in downtown. He would walk there to the Pioneer Place courthouse area where you have a lot of offices. And I said, where are you moving? He said, oh, I'm going to go north. I assumed he was going to Washington or to Idaho. Who knew? Nope. He was going to the Pearl District. So those are 3 people that I personally knew who lived in Oregon, in Portland, and stayed in Portland. I just realized there's another couple that I knew that had lived and made a pretty penny by buying a place also in the Pearl District, and they had moved to a house that they were remodeling. You know what? You know how you know these videos aren't scripted? Because these things just come to mind. Okay, this isn't scripted. There's another young couple, and they had told me they bought land on a golf course in Portland. Okay, so that's like 5 or 6 couples that I personally knew, or 5 or 6 people, not everyone's in a couple, who moved and stayed within the Portland area. So this is what I see quite often. People that I know, with the exception of one guy, and he is a little bit of a real estate mogul, so he's making some different life moves. But most of the people that I know have stayed in the Portland metro area. So what does that mean? That means Portland, Oregon, Vancouver, Washington, the cities attached to Vancouver, and then, of course, Clackamas County, which is just south of Multnomah County, where Portland is located. Maybe people want to move to Lake Oswego, which is a beautiful place, by the way. And I do have a video about Lake Oswego and living there. It's very lovely in Lake Oswego. I think it's a place that a lot of people really enjoy living. But the thing is, when you think about it, it's shocking that so many people are actually staying in the area. So despite what you see in the news, despite what people talk about what's going on, so many people are staying. Now, when I read the news and I see recent headlines about the state of California, it's very interesting to me, and this made me think about the situation in Portland. 500,000 people over the last 2 years have left the state. Did you hear that number? 500,000 people. That's bigger than most major cities, right? There aren't that many cities in the entire United States that have 500,000 people. Now, California is a big state geographically, and it's spread out, and it has many millions of people, but that was quite a big number, and it was shocking. So I relate that to what I see in Portland. I think, wow, people, they want to stay in the city or in the general vicinity, and I know why. They like the lifestyle, okay? They like all the food options. They like the entertainment options. They like the endless things to do. Some people really appreciate the public transportation. Some people appreciate the diverse options of, I guess you could say, entertainment, which again would be dining. You've got restaurants, bars, you've got shopping. There's a vast amount of shopping and a great local scene. If you appreciate shopping locally, whether it's for your food, your clothing, your soap, your salt, if you want to buy things locally, or at least that are Oregon-based or in your state, it's an amazing place. There are so many great local stores in the Portland area. Now, one thing I don't hear that often is people from Vancouver, Washington tell me that they're moving into Portland or into Oregon. I have heard it a few times, but generally speaking, I find that more people move from Portland over the Columbia River into Vancouver, Washington. Vancouver is a different vibe. I use this term vibe. You could use different terms like energy or aura or whatever word you want to use, but it's a different feeling when you're there. You do have some small town feel similar to Oregon, but you don't have the public transportation that's the same, so people don't ride together as much. They have a bus system there, but you don't have the rails, you don't have the MAX, you don't have the streetcar, you don't have the WES system, so it is different. You do have a downtown and an area they call uptown, which is attached to downtown. You have the waterfront, you have walkable areas, but most people I don't see living in the walkable areas. I don't feel like many people move to Vancouver specifically to live in an area where you can walk. My understanding, and this isn't a perfect number, is that only about 5% of the units in the Vancouver area are condos. As we're in Portland, you have a lot of condos in a more densely populated urban area. You have population density. You don't see the same density in Vancouver, especially when you go north or east. If you start spreading out to Camas and Washougal, you go on the Columbia River Gorge, you're going to see much less densely populated areas. So let's take a few minutes just to talk about some of the statistics, okay? One thing I want to say about statistics is you have to take them with a grain of salt. Statistics that come from different sources regarding population, there are different surveys, there are different numbers people look at. When you look at the census for the city, the census is run every 10 years or so. So the numbers that you get from different news headlines are based on different statistics, from home sales to some anecdotal evidence where they survey people, some tax information. There's a lot of different statistics that go into play. So I want to talk about a more general overview because obviously I don't have the exact statistics, but I'm not sure who actually has that information. So I have looked at several different sources from different bureaus to discuss some of the numbers. So first of all, a major thing that has happened is that the number of people moving to Portland has declined. Portland became an incredibly popular city. I'm sure that the TV show Portlandia did help that. It's actually kind of a funny show, and it showed a life that I think a lot of people were excited to live. But from 2010 to 2020, a lot of people were moving to Portland, Oregon. The numbers were steadily growing. The net inward migration was huge. And I do still see that California is a place that feeds into Portland. There is definitely some sort of attraction for people who live in California to move up to Portland. Maybe it's a more relaxed lifestyle. Maybe it's less traffic. Now, I know the traffic subject is an opinion. And if you have to commute in certain parts of Portland, there can be traffic at rush hour. But if you've never lived in California traffic, you've never driven on Highway 5 or the 480 or one of the 80s up in Northern California or the 405 freeway, you have not seen traffic. It is incredible. But here's the thing. That trend has slowed. Fewer people have been moving into the area. Additionally, I did notice that OPB had written an article that said that fewer people were, well, they had mentioned there was actually a population decline potentially in parts of Oregon. So they didn't specifically say that there is a huge population decline in Portland. And up until interest rates increased, just by looking at houses, I could see them just like flying off the shelf, so to speak. Houses are selling quickly until the interest rates really picked up. So in spite of whatever happened in the city of Portland, homes were still selling at a fairly rapid pace. Now, things have changed. Obviously, interest rates have increased. Okay, we're in a different environment in that situation. But my real question is, are people still drawn to Portland? Are people still drawn to the general area? I do say Portland specifically in this case because I think the real question is about Portland due to the events that happened in the downtown area in 2020, and there was an increase in a homeless population. I address this less regarding Vancouver, Washington. So if you are watching the channel about Vancouver, Washington, there is talk that there is some increase in homelessness and other things that are of concerns to residents, but it's certainly more prominent in the Portland area. It's not a secret. Now, as someone who has actively walked around the Pearl District, the Alphabet District, Slabtown, downtown Portland, the area over by the Lloyd Center, the area by Moda Center, the large performing, it's the stadium, if you're not familiar. It's the Moda Center. It's like where the Trailblazers play and we see a lot of concerts. I walk around that area. I walk over many different bridges, from Fremont Bridge, the Broadway Bridge. I go over to MLK neighborhood. I go over the Burnside Bridge. There's some great food over there, by the way, if you're going from downtown over the Burnside Bridge. I do not feel that it's, ruins my life or is as extreme as it's portrayed on television. Now, in Chinatown, yes, there is a significant increase in homeless activity, and it's obviously somewhat prominent in parts of downtown, but it's not everywhere. And when I go to Pioneer Place Mall, it's still an enjoyable experience for me. So it's not because I have, it's just, what I really want to do with this channel, and as a person who likes, the Northwest, I like Portland. I like the Northwest, okay? I do like a lot of parts of Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. But I want to give you my own personal feelings as someone who does walk around. I'm an avid walker. I enjoy walking. I would actually prefer taking the streetcar, taking a bicycle. We're so lucky. Portland's so lucky to have the bicycles and so many forms of transportation. But the key thing here is, and I know we're getting a little off topic with the statistics, but I just want to share with you my feelings of how I feel. And I discuss this with my other friends with whom I walk around and people that I see on the streets all the time that I wave to. I met quite a few people just by walking around the city. It's a really unique experience. But overall, my experience has remained fairly consistent. There are some areas of concern, and of course, I would like things to get better. And hopefully, as a community, everything will ultimately get better. But let's dive back into the statistics. There are, according to an article that I mentioned from OPB, they had mentioned that Oregon's general population is in decline in some sense. Now, that is the state of Oregon, so that is a big deal. Additionally, I checked multiple websites that provide some sort of statistics, and most had indicated that what we are seeing in the Portland area is primarily a decrease in the number of people coming in, not that people are fleeing the city. And that's a key thing. There are feelings and then there are numbers. And the numbers show that people are generally still coming into the area. Now, I have heard more talk of people moving outside of the downtown area or not necessarily looking for condo style living because they want to get some more space. They might have to work from home. But I do want to say, and I do like condos, okay? I like condo living. I like the lock and leave feeling, not having to take care of a yard necessarily and having some maintenance included. You can, if you do like condo living and you need to work at home, there are office style places available, meaning that you can have a home office in your condominium. There are a lot of great spaces like that. And of course, some also have just extra bedrooms. So some places you'll see that have like a certain number of bedrooms plus an office or plus a loft. And some do have patios and yards. So if you are thinking about moving to a condo, let us know if that's the lifestyle that you like. I find it enjoyable. And they tend to be located in densely populated areas, meaning that you can walk around, right? You have your supermarkets. If you live in the Pearl District, for example, you have Safeway, you have Whole Foods, you have New Seasons, you have multiple markets that you can choose from. And I would consider them in walking distance because some are going to be a few blocks away and most will be within a mile or less. And I've carried my own groceries, so I don't think it's that bad. But the general thing that I feel is that I'm hearing people say they want to get more space. And that's why they're moving to other areas like Lake Oswego, like West Lynn, Oregon. I see a lot of the restaurants that were really popular in the Pearl and in the Alphabet District have actually opened down in Lake Oswego, from Salt and Straw, which of course is probably one of the most famous ice cream places in the country, I think. It's pretty popular. And then you see Bamboo Sushi opening. You see these places all opening down in Lake Oswego and other areas outside of the downtown, right? So you're going to see it also in, if you go over to Division Street and other streets, you will notice that these places have now opened outside of the downtown area. So with that in mind, of course, that is something that's happening. People are leaving the more densely populated areas. Okay, so this video is a combination of what I hear myself, what I feel myself, and some statistics that I have looked at and read. And the overall thing I wanted to convey is that people in general, I don't feel, are fleeing Portland, and the statistics generally say the same thing. So I don't know why people keep asking about this, because Portland has been in the news. Okay, but Portland is a city in the sense that it's an urban center, but it definitely feels different than other urban centers I've been to, which include places like San Francisco, Philadelphia, New York City. That's a huge urban center, right? I've been to different places like Seattle. They are much larger than Portland in the area that is the urban center, right? So you have the urban center, like the downtown, and then you have all of the suburbs, okay? When you look at places like Philadelphia, like San Francisco, they have a much larger urban center, and I think that's why things there are amplified much more, because that's something that's going on today, is you are seeing cities, specifically with urban centers, having some issues. Do I still love the Portland area? Absolutely. Absolutely. I do love it, and I love walking around. And do I love Vancouver? I do. I love Vancouver. I had actually thought of later in life, you have that vision, like, where are you going to retire? Maybe it's a dream for some people to have places around the country. And I always thought, yeah, you've got to have one in the Northwest. Maybe you want to have a place in Florida too. You want to fly south for the winter. But I just love the Northwest in general. I love the environment, meaning literally the environment, the outdoors, the hiking, the skiing. If you like fishing, all those types of outdoorsy things, those are great. Additionally, the people, to me, feel really friendly. And that's a big change from someone who is not born in the Northwest. And the experience I had when I first moved there opened my eyes like very quickly. When I first got my place in the Northwest, it was like, whoa, people are super different. They're so friendly. It was an incredible experience for me, and I really loved it. They're friendly people all over the country. And I find friendly people wherever I go, wherever I get to live. But the overwhelming feeling was very unique for me, and I really liked that. And that's something I've experienced a lot in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. If you've never been to the other states, you should check them out, because the people are incredible in all these places. Okay, so you're probably watching this video because you're thinking about moving to one of these places. So you know what to do, right? Well, if you don't, let me remind you. You want to reach out to me. Email me. Send us a text message. Give us a call on the phone. The team cannot wait to help you relocate anywhere in the Oregon and Washington area. And if you are thinking about Idaho, which I have mentioned several times, there's a team out there that's dedicated to helping you too. So just reach out. We'll get you in touch with them. All right, now, of course, I want to hear your comments and your opinions. I know people who do not live in the city have one opinion. People who live in the city have another opinion. It might be the same. I really want to hear it. So drop a comment below and let me know what else you'd like me to talk about in the upcoming videos. All right, everybody. I cannot wait to see you in the next video. And before you click over and watch another video, make sure that you've tapped that little subscribe button and click that little bell so you'll be notified about the next hot video coming out, all about living in Oregon and Washington. Take care, everyone.